When we talk about transformation, we often look at the outside world. We think if circumstances change, life will get better. But the truth is, the greatest transformation happens not outside, but inside. And at the heart of this transformation is one simple, yet powerful quality: self-respect. When a woman chooses to respect herself, her thoughts, her boundaries, her emotions, her dignity, life does not remain the same. It takes on a different glow, a deeper meaning, and an unshakable strength. Self-respect is not arrogance, nor is it pride. It is the quiet understanding that I am worthy. It is the strength to say no when you must, and the grace to say yes when you choose. It is the foundation on which confidence, peace, and happiness are built. Today, let us explore 10 key ways self-respect transforms a woman's life. When a woman respects herself, something profound shifts within her. She begins to define her own worth instead of waiting for others to do it. For too long, many women are conditioned to look outward for validation. From childhood, they may be praised for how they look, how well they serve others, or how they meet expectations. Slowly, without realizing it, their sense of worth becomes tied to external applause. If people approve, they feel good. If people criticize, they feel small. But the truth is, such a fragile foundation will never allow a woman to truly shine. Self-respect breaks this cycle. It is the gentle but firm reminder that I am valuable simply because I exist. My worth is not negotiable. Think of a diamond. Whether it is kept in a velvet box or lying unnoticed in the dust, its value does not change. It remains precious no matter how people treat it. In the same way, when a woman begins to respect herself, she understands that her worth is not dependent on the opinions of the world. It is intrinsic. It is already there, waiting to be acknowledged by her own heart. And once she embraces this truth, no amount of rejection, criticism, or neglect can reduce her inner value. This shift in perspective liberates her. Imagine a life where every compliment no longer becomes a lifeline, and every insult no longer becomes a wound that cuts too deep. Instead of being tossed around like a leaf in the wind of public opinion, she becomes rooted like a tree. Compliments are enjoyed, but they do not define her. Criticism is heard, but it does not destroy her. She knows who she is, and that knowledge is enough. Self-respect allows her to walk into any room with quiet dignity. She no longer seeks to prove herself because she already knows her worth. And this energy is magnetic. People sense it. They are drawn to her confidence, her composure, and her calm assurance. She does not demand respect. She commands it by the way she carries herself. This is the beauty of self-respect. It not only transforms the way she sees herself, but it also transforms the way the world sees her. But defining one's worth through self-respect is not always easy. Society often sends mixed messages. On one hand, it tells women they are enough. On the other, it constantly bombards them with images, comparisons, and expectations suggesting they are not. A woman who respects herself chooses to silence this noise. She becomes selective about the voices she allows into her mind. She is not swayed by trends or shallow standards because her inner compass is stronger than external pressure. And here is the miracle. When a woman defines her own worth, she inspires others to do the same. She teaches her daughters that beauty is not the measure of value. She teaches her sisters that their dreams matter. And she teaches her friends that they are not defined by failures or flaws. Her self-respect becomes a ripple that touches lives far beyond her own. In the end, when a woman embraces her worth, she no longer lives as a reflection of other people's opinions. She lives as an expression of her own truth. That is the beginning of real transformation. When a woman cultivates self-respect, one of the most powerful transformations that takes place is her ability to set boundaries with courage. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are bridges that define how others may enter her life. They are not signs of arrogance, but of clarity. A woman with self-respect understands that love and kindness do not mean tolerating disrespect or silently enduring what harms her peace. She knows that protecting her well-being is not selfish. It is wise, necessary, and deeply empowering. For many women, saying yes has been ingrained as a virtue. From an early age, they are taught to please, to serve, to adjust, and to sacrifice, even at the cost of their own happiness. While there is beauty in selflessness, it becomes dangerous when selflessness turns into self-neglect. Without boundaries, people begin to take advantage consciously or unconsciously. A woman who never says no eventually finds herself drained, exhausted, and perhaps even resentful. That is why setting boundaries becomes a sacred act of self-respect. Think of a garden. If you leave the gate wide open, anyone can walk in. Some may admire the flowers, but others may trample them. Without boundaries, the beauty of the garden cannot flourish. In the same way, a woman's mind and heart need boundaries to preserve their strength and beauty. When she draws a line and says, "This much and no more," she is not being unkind. She is protecting her inner garden so it can bloom fully. Setting boundaries requires courage because it often comes with resistance. People who were once comfortable taking advantage of her generosity may not like the new rules. They may accuse her of being too rigid or too proud, but a woman with self-respect does not allow guilt or fear to dictate her choices. She understands that every no to disrespect is actually a yes to her dignity, her peace, and her happiness. She realizes that those who truly value her will respect her boundaries, while those who don't were never meant to stay. Boundaries also help her choose quality over quantity in her relationships. She may have fewer friends, but they are genuine. She may keep her circle small, but it is filled with respect and positivity. With clear boundaries, she filters out the noise of toxic connections and creates space for relationships that uplift rather than drain her spirit. Another beautiful outcome of setting boundaries is that it teaches others how to treat her. When she respects herself enough to say, I will not tolerate this behavior, she sets a silent example. People begin to understand her standards. They realize that she values herself too much to be treated poorly. Over time, this strengthens her influence and presence, not because she demands authority, but because she embodies it. Boundaries also give her the freedom to live authentically. Without them, she may constantly feel obligated to meet others' expectations, sacrificing her own needs and dreams in the process. But with boundaries, she reclaims her time, her energy, and her choices. She learns to say, I cannot do this right now, or this does not align with who I am, without guilt. And in that simple courage, she experiences liberation. Ultimately, setting boundaries with courage is not about keeping the world away. It is about keeping herself safe enough to grow, strong enough to thrive, and free enough to live with dignity. A woman who embraces boundaries does not push people out. She simply ensures that those who stay truly belong. And that is one of the most transformative gifts of self-respect. When a woman builds her life on the foundation of self-respect, one of the most beautiful shifts she experiences is the wisdom to choose her relationships carefully. Relationships, whether friendships, family ties, or romantic connections, play a huge role in shaping her happiness and peace of mind. They are like the air we breathe. If pure, they nourish us. If toxic, they suffocate us. A woman with self-respect understands this truth deeply. And so she becomes intentional about the people she allows close to her heart. Many people live in relationships out of fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, or fear of what society will say. They hold on even when the connection is unhealthy, simply because letting go seems harder. But when self-respect awakens within a woman, I flew for 22 hours to be realizes that being alone is far better than being surrounded by those who diminish her worth. She learns that companionship without respect is not companionship at all. It is a slow erosion of her spirit. Think of it like a meal. You may be very hungry, but if the food placed before you is spoiled, will you eat it just to fill your stomach? Of course not. You know that spoiled food will make you sick. In the same way, when a woman respects herself, she refuses to consume toxic relationships just to avoid the discomfort of loneliness. She understands that such connections will poison her peace, and so she chooses patience, waiting for what uplifts rather than settling for what destroys. Choosing relationships wisely does not mean she cuts everyone off or isolates herself. Rather, it means she pays attention to the energy people bring into her life. She notices who celebrates her success without jealousy, who stands beside her in times of struggle, and who respects her boundaries and values. She learns to recognize red flags early, not by suspicion, but by clarity. Because she respects herself, she can clearly see when others do not. This wisdom also allows her to pour into relationships that are worth nurturing. She invests her time and energy in people who bring out the best in her, those who support her dreams, and those who genuinely care for her well-being. In doing so, she creates a circle of positivity that not only strengthens her, but also reflects back her own self-worth. Healthy relationships become mirrors in which she sees her value reinforced, not questioned. One of the greatest gifts of self-respect is that it eliminates the need for constant approval. Because she no longer depends on external validation, she does not cling to relationships that drain her. She no longer fears letting go of people who refuse to value her. She understands that endings, while painful, often make way for beginnings more aligned with her dignity. And so, she releases what no longer serves her with grace, not bitterness. What makes this transformation even more powerful is its ripple effect. When a woman chooses her relationships wisely, she teaches others by example. Her children, her peers, even her colleagues notice the way she values herself enough not to tolerate disrespect. This silent lesson becomes a powerful message. Love is not about possession, it is about respect. Relationships are not about clinging, they are about uplifting. At the end of the day, a woman who respects herself does not measure relationships by how long they have lasted, but by how they make her feel. If they nurture her growth, she treasures them. If they consistently harm her peace, she walks away with dignity. And in this conscious choice, she discovers that real love, whether from friends, family, or a partner, begins with the respect she first gives to herself. When a woman learns the art of self-respect, she gains the courage to live authentically. Authenticity is not about perfection, nor is it about meeting society's endless expectations. It is about embracing one's true self, flaws, strengths, quirks, dreams, and all, and choosing to live in alignment with that truth. For many women, the pressure to fit in is constant. They are told how to look, how to speak, how to behave, and even what roles they must play. Over time, they begin wearing masks to please others, hiding their true selves for fear of rejection or judgment. But self-respect whispers gently, you don't need to be someone else to be worthy. You are enough as you are. Living authentically begins with honesty, with oneself first. A woman with self-respect no longer lies to herself about what she wants or pretends to be happy with things that make her miserable. She does not shrink her dreams just to avoid making others uncomfortable. She admits her feelings, acknowledges her desires, and allows herself to pursue what truly aligns with her soul. This honesty becomes the foundation of her authenticity. The beauty of authenticity is that it frees her from comparison. When she respects herself enough to be authentic, she stops trying to copy someone else's path. She realizes that every woman has a unique story, a unique rhythm, and a unique purpose. Instead of constantly asking, "Am I good enough compared to her?" she begins to ask, "Am I living true to myself?" That shift changes everything. Jealousy fades, insecurity weakens. She is no longer chasing after someone else's shadow, but walking in the light of her own individuality. Authenticity also brings immense peace. Pretending is exhausting. Constantly putting on a performance to please others drains the heart. But when a woman drops the mask, she feels lighter. She no longer spends her energy on maintaining an image. She invests it in living her truth. This is why self-respect and authenticity go hand in hand. The moment she respects herself enough to accept her true identity, she gains the freedom to show up as she really is, unapologetically and gracefully. Of course, authenticity is not always met with applause. Some may resist it, especially if they were used to her pleasing them at the cost of her own happiness. But a woman with self-respect understands that authenticity is not about pleasing everyone. It is about honoring her truth. Those who truly value her will appreciate her honesty while those who don't will naturally drift away. And she learns to be at peace with that. What makes authenticity powerful is how inspiring it is to others. When a woman boldly lives as herself, she unknowingly gives permission for others to do the same. Her friends, her family, her colleagues begin to feel that it is safe to be themselves too. In a world that constantly pressures people to conform, her authenticity becomes an act of quiet rebellion, a reminder that dignity lies in being real. Perhaps the most profound transformation authenticity brings is alignment. Her words match her actions. Her desires match her choices. Her values guide her decisions. This alignment gives her strength and clarity in life. She no longer feels pulled in 100 directions because her inner compass points her toward her truth. That integrity, being the same person inside and outside, is what makes her unshakable. At the heart of it, authenticity is a gift she gives herself. It is the joy of saying, "This is who I am. I may not be perfect, but I am real, and that is enough." With self-respect as her foundation, she no longer hides. She no longer pretends. She embraces her authenticity fully, and in doing so, she discovers the kind of freedom that no one can take away. When a woman begins to respect herself deeply, confidence is no longer something she has to chase. It becomes a natural extension of who she is. True confidence is not about how loudly a person speaks, how bold their appearance is, or how many achievements they can list. Those may be expressions of confidence, but they are not its essence. Real confidence is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It comes from knowing one's worth, embracing one's journey, and trusting one's ability to face whatever life brings. Many women, unfortunately, confuse confidence with comparison. They feel strong only when they are ahead of someone else, or when others applaud them. But such confidence is fragile. It disappears the moment someone else seems better, smarter, or more beautiful. Self-respect, however, changes this dynamic. When a woman respects herself, she no longer builds her confidence on external approval. She knows her worth does not decrease when someone else succeeds, and it does not increase only when she is praised. Her confidence is not dependent on the noise of the outside world, but rooted in the silence of her inner certainty. Imagine a tree standing tall in the forest. It does not measure its height by looking at the trees around it. It simply grows according to its nature, reaching upward, season by season. Similarly, a woman with self-respect grows confidently, not by comparison, but by living her truth. She does not need to prove she is taller than anyone else. She only needs to keep growing in her own rhythm. This quiet growth is the essence of confidence. Inner confidence also changes the way she responds to challenges. Life will always present difficulties, failures, losses, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Without self-respect, such moments can crush the spirit, making her feel worthless. But with self-respect fueling her confidence, she sees obstacles as opportunities to grow. Even if she falls, she does not label herself a failure. She tells herself, I stumbled, but I am still worthy. I can rise again. That mindset transforms pain into strength and mistakes into lessons. Confidence rooted in self-respect also allows her to express herself without fear. She is not afraid to share her opinions, even if they are different from the majority. She is not scared to pursue her dreams, even if others doubt her. She knows that her voice matters, her choices matter, and her dreams are valid. This kind of confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment between her inner truth and her outer actions. Another beautiful quality of inner confidence is humility. A woman who truly respects herself has no need to boast or look down on others. She does not carry her confidence as a weapon, but as a quiet presence. She uplifts others rather than competing with them. She celebrates their victories because she is secure in her own worth. That balance of strength and humility is rare, but it is the natural fruit of self-respect. Perhaps the most liberating aspect of inner confidence is how it changes her relationship with fear. Fear still comes, it always does, but it no longer paralyzes her. She learns to act in spite of fear because she trusts herself enough to handle the outcome. She no longer asks, what if I fail? But instead thinks, what if I learn? What if I grow? That shift is the very heartbeat of courage. In the end, when a woman cultivates inner confidence through self-respect, she walks through life differently. Her presence speaks before her words. Her calm strength inspires without trying. She does not demand attention, yet she commands respect. This quiet, rooted confidence becomes her anchor, her light, and her strength in every season of life. One of the greatest gifts that self-respect gives a woman is the ability to say no. Such a small word, yet so powerful. For many women, no feels heavy, almost like a sin. From childhood, they are often trained to say yes. Yes to responsibilities, yes to expectations, yes to requests. Even when those yeses come at the cost of their own well-being, they feel guilty for refusing, as if declining someone's demand makes them unkind or ungrateful. But when a woman embraces self-respect, she realizes that every no to something that drains her is, in truth, a yes to herself, her peace, and her dignity. Learning the power of no is like discovering a key to freedom. Without it, she is trapped in endless obligations, constantly overextending herself just to keep others happy. She says yes to events she does not want to attend, to favors that exhaust her, and to commitments that steal her time and energy. Deep down, she feels tired, frustrated, and unappreciated. But when she finds the courage to say no, she begins to reclaim her life. She realizes that she does not have to please everyone to be worthy. She learns that protecting her time and energy is not selfish, it is wise. Think of a cup of water. If you keep pouring it out for everyone else without ever refilling it, the cup will eventually run dry. Saying no is how a woman preserves enough water in her cup to refill it, so that when she does pour for others, it comes from abundance, not from emptiness. Self-respect teaches her that she cannot serve the world effectively if she is running on empty. Of course, saying no is not always easy. Some people may react with disappointment or even anger. They may accuse her of being difficult, distant, or selfish. But a woman with self-respect understands that such reactions are not a reflection of her worth, but of others' expectations. She refuses to be manipulated by guilt. Instead, she reminds herself, I have the right to make choices that honor my values and protect my well-being. That quiet conviction gives her the strength to stand firm. The power of no also sharpens her priorities. When she declines what does not serve her, she creates space for what truly matters. She can focus on her passions, her growth, her loved ones, and her dreams. Her calendar is no longer filled with obligations she resents, but with choices she embraces. Every no becomes a doorway to a more meaningful yes. This practice also deepens the quality of her relationships. When she respects her own limits, she begins to attract people who respect them too. Those who only valued her for what she could give may leave, but those who genuinely care will stay and even admire her more for standing up for herself. In this way, the word no becomes not a divider, but a filter that separates the meaningful from the meaningless. Ultimately, learning the power of no is about reclaiming control over her own life. It allows her to live with intention instead of obligation, to act out of choice rather than compulsion. And in this freedom, she discovers a deeper joy. She no longer drowns in endless responsibilities, nor does she feel trapped by expectations. Instead, she moves through life with clarity, energy, and peace, because she has learned that one small word, spoken with self-respect, can change everything. When a woman develops self-respect, she learns one of the most important lessons of life. Compassion must be balanced with self-care. Many women are naturally nurturing. They give and give time, energy, love, attention, often without pause. They put their families first, their friends first, their work first, and they themselves are placed at the very bottom of their own list. For a while, this feels noble, almost virtuous, but slowly the cost begins to show. They become exhausted, emotionally drained, and sometimes even resentful. Self-respect gently teaches them that true compassion is not about emptying yourself for others. It is about filling yourself enough to give from abundance, not from exhaustion. A woman who respects herself knows that her well-being matters. She understands that she cannot pour into others if she is running dry. Just like an airplane safety instruction reminds passengers to put on their own oxygen mask before helping others, she learns to care for her mind, body, and soul first, so she can be strong enough to support those around her. Self-care does not mean neglecting loved ones. It means ensuring she has the strength to love them more deeply and sustainably. Balancing compassion with self-care also protects her from being taken advantage of. Without boundaries, kindness can sometimes be exploited. People may assume she will always say yes, always sacrifice, always show up no matter how drained she feels. But when she respects herself, she learns to pause and ask, am I giving from love or am I giving from guilt? If the answer is guilt or pressure, she steps back. This clarity allows her compassion to remain genuine instead of becoming forced or resentful. Another important aspect of this balance is that it helps her preserve joy. Compassion without self-care often leads to burnout. She may begin to feel that serving others is a burden rather than a blessing. But when she takes time to rest, to nourish herself, to engage in the things that make her heart alive, her giving comes from joy. She offers kindness not because she feels compelled, but because she genuinely wants to. This difference is felt deeply by those around her. Giving from emptiness feels heavy, giving from fullness feels light and inspiring. Self-care also helps her model healthy living for others. If she constantly sacrifices herself without rest, her children, her peers, or those who look up to her may believe that neglecting oneself is the definition of love. But when she balances compassion with self-care, she shows them a better way. She demonstrates that taking care of oneself is not selfish. It is wise, it is necessary, and it is powerful. Her example becomes a silent teacher to others that dignity and kindness must walk together. This balance also strengthens her relationships. When she respects her own needs, she communicates clearly with others. She does not bottle up resentment. She does not silently burn out. Instead, she sets honest expectations. And this honesty leads to healthier, more respectful connections. People know where they stand with her, and they trust her more because her compassion is real, not forced. Ultimately, balancing compassion with self-care transforms her life because it allows her to serve from a place of strength. She becomes like a well that never runs dry because she takes the time to refill. She discovers that by loving herself, she can love others more deeply. And in this lies her greatest power. She becomes both kind and strong, nurturing yet unshakable, giving yet whole. One of the most liberating transformations that self-respect brings into a woman's life is the ability to rise above comparison. Comparison is a silent thief. It steals joy, peace, and gratitude. It whispers into the ear, "She is more successful than you. She is more beautiful than you. She is more loved than you. And before long, the mind becomes restless, never satisfied, always measuring itself against others. But when a woman truly respects herself, she no longer allows her worth to be decided by how she measures up to someone else. She understands that her journey is uniquely her own, and no one else can walk it for her. From childhood, many women are placed in environments where they are compared, at school, in families, even among friends. Look how well she studies. See how beautiful she is. Notice how she manages everything perfectly. Over time, this conditioning makes them feel they must always prove themselves, that they are only valuable if they outperform others. But self-respect breaks this cycle. It teaches her to say, I am not here to compete with anyone. I am here to live my truth. That realization is like taking a deep breath after years of suffocation. Think of the sun and the moon. The sun does not compare itself to the moon, nor does the moon feel insecure about the sun. Each has its own timing, its own role, its own beauty. One shines in the day, the other glows in the night, and both are essential. Similarly, a woman who respects herself knows she does not have to outshine anyone else. She simply has to shine in her own way, in her own time. Rising above comparison also nurtures gratitude. When she stops looking constantly at what others have, she begins to see the blessings in her own life. She notices her strengths, her progress, her unique gifts. Gratitude shifts her focus from scarcity to abundance, from envy to appreciation. She begins to celebrate the successes of others without feeling diminished by them. Instead of thinking, why her, not me? She thinks, if it is possible for her, it is possible for me too. In my own way, at my own pace. That mindset transforms envy into inspiration. This freedom from comparison also deepens her confidence. When she respects herself enough to honor her own path, she no longer feels rushed by society's timelines. She does not panic if someone else achieves a milestone before her, whether it is career success, marriage, family, or recognition. She trusts that her life is unfolding exactly as it should. This calm assurance makes her more patient, more peaceful, and more focused on her own growth, rather than being distracted by others' journeys. Another profound gift of rising above comparison is authenticity. Without the burden of comparison, she feels free to live according to her values, not society's expectations. She dresses how she wants. She pursues the career or dreams that align with her passions, and she defines success in her own terms. She does not feel the need to copy anyone because she is comfortable being herself. And in that authenticity lies true beauty. Ultimately, when a woman rises above comparison, she discovers joy in her individuality. She realizes that life is not a race to the finish line, but a journey to be lived fully and meaningfully. She no longer wastes energy competing. Instead, she invests it in creating, learning, loving, and becoming the best version of herself. And in doing so, she not only finds peace for her own heart, but also inspires others to break free from the prison of comparison.